Hey guys, welcome to another video. Noah Wide here again. Just kind of a quick video, I hope, showing you guys how to set up basic open loop boost control on the EMU Black. Obviously you guys know I have the Lexus, but this will apply to anyone using the EMU Black. It doesn't matter what engine, what car. If you have this particular software, then you can use this setup. I highly recommend using a electronic boost controller over a manual boost controller, because the manual boost controllers, sometimes they leak, sometimes you really don't know what it's set at, and the last thing you want to have is an issue. At least with an electronic boost controller, you can set up safeties to try and protect the engine in case it does want to make too much boost, but that's beside the point. I'm not really going to go over how to do closed loop boost control because that's a whole nother topic. So once you open up your software, on the left side you'll have the boost section over here. If you just open up the parameters, I'm trying to make it bigger for you guys. I will say the first thing you should do is just to click on the little question mark. It kind of briefly goes over what every setting does. That way you kind of have an idea of what to put, or how things work, I should say. Still, it doesn't really tell you the numbers to put in these tables, but at least you can kind of have an idea of what the things do. Usually when you open this up, obviously to enable the boost controller, you simply just click this check mark right here. We're going to leave it on open loop. The only other option is closed loop. Like I said, we're not going over that. As far as this solenoid output, you would select whichever output you wired your boost controller to. Generally, boost controllers will have a 12-volt switched wire, and the other side would be ground, which is controlled by the EMU Black, which is what we're setting up right here. That is the wire that gets a PWM signal to, operate the valve. If you wanted to test it, if you go to invert output, you can click the box, go out to the engine bay or wherever you have your boost controller at, and it should be clicking to make sure that your wiring is correct. The solenoid frequency, this is going to vary between different boost controllers. I find that the valves that I use, which are the MAC valves, they tend to like between 10 to 30 hertz. The sweet spot probably being around 20 to 25-ish, but you can play along with that. They don't really do much below 10, and then above 30 they start to kind of switch too fast, and so you kind of lose control over the boost. So I like to leave mine at 30 and it works just fine. For the solenoid minimum and maximum, this simply is just capping the min and max of what the valve can do between obviously between 0 and 100%, but below 15% they don't really do anything. They don't really react well. Above 85, they pretty much just hold themselves wide open, so you can cap it at whatever you want. The minimum map setting basically means that the EMU needs to see the map sensor read over 10 psi. This is absolute, not 10 psi boost, 10 psi absolute. Once it gets over that, then it will turn the boost controller on. Same for the minimum RPM. Once it gets over whatever you put in here, I could put 1,000 RPM, I could put whatever I want. Once it gets over that RPM, then it will start to operate the boost controller. The other things that are below here are kind of more advanced. I'm not really going to go into that, so if you have questions about that stuff, just ask them in the comment section below and we can go over that. Again, since we're not going over closed loop, there's really no need to go into the PID parameters. Gear scale, briefly go over that. Basically, if you have a gear position indicator set up on your car, or you have a vehicle speed sensor that you've calibrated, essentially all this will do is you can set these numbers to whatever you want. So let's say you got your boost controller set to make 20 pounds of boost, but you don't want 20 pounds of boost in first gear. Say you want 10 pounds of boost, so you'll just put 50% in here, and that will basically chop down the boost you command in half. And you can see how that works for every gear. This is essentially boost by gear. Pretty simple. Boost blend table, again, more advanced stuff. Boost blend calibration, more advanced stuff. You have your vehicle speed sensor scale. Again, if you don't have boost by gear setup, you can definitely set it up by boost by speed, and this is where you would do that at 0 miles an hour up to, you know, whatever you want to do. You can just right click and you can change this to put whatever speed you want. Again, it works the same as the gear scale. You know, let's say you're drag racing the car and you don't need all the boost right away. You can, from 0 to, you know, 37 miles an hour, maybe you want half the boost, so you put 50. Or maybe you want a quarter of the boost, so you know you put 25, etc. And then you can just ramp the boost in slowly, you know, as you go faster. So it's kind of set up however you want to set it up, but that's what that's for. The next option would be the intake air temperature scale. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Same percentages up here, 100 being no change. 90, let's say if I put 90 in there, you know, it'll give you 90% of your maximum value. And if you put, let's say 150 in there, it'll give you, you know, 1.5 times the value. So all this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I really need to go into all this. There's a coolant scale as well, exhaust gas temperature scale. DC error would be if you're using closed loop boost control, but we're not. So essentially the only thing you need to do in the parameters for open loop is to turn it on, select open loop, select your correct output, get your frequency right, and that's it. That's pretty much your set. Only other table that matters to you is this DC reference table. This is your main boost table. It can be confusing because you're going to go to boost target, but that's not the table we're basically looking at. The main table you want to look at is this DC reference table. So basically this is based on throttle position down here at the bottom. Let me close this so you can see this. We don't even need that table open, so you can look at something like this. So as you can see, throttle position down here is 0. If you map the throttle to 100%, whatever you put in here is going to determine what boost you get. Granted, this is not, you know, say you want 20 pounds. You can put 20 in here. That doesn't mean you're going to get 20 pounds of boost. This just means that this is operating the valve at 20% of its capacity. So from 0 to 100%, this means that the valve is set to 20%. This is where the, you know, trial and error come into play. So I'd advise when you first start doing this, you know, maybe put 10 in here. Go out, drive the car, floor it, see what it makes. Then you will know that, say it makes, let's just say for, you know, sake of argument, it makes 10 pounds of boost. So that way, you know, whenever you put a 10 in here, you're going to get 10 pounds of boost. Same if I put a 20 or even a 50. Remember, you can take this all the way up to 100 max, but I doubt you'll ever get that high. But, you know, let's say you put 20 in there and it makes 20 pounds of boost. So you would just, this is how you control your boost. Whatever numbers you put in this table, that's the numbers you're going to get. There's no other table that's going to matter. The only other thing that you got to watch out for if you have overboost on, which is a safety, if you have that on and you want to make, you know, let's say you want to make 20 pounds of boost. If you have overboost on and you keep hitting a boost cut, it's because this table needs to be set higher. So if you're trying to make 20 pounds of boost, obviously you can see this is saying 14.5. So the moment you try to go over this, the overboost is going to kick on. So you would need to say, put this at 22 or something a little bit higher than your current boost settings. So yeah, I hope that this wasn't too confusing or too long. By all means, if you have any questions, just ask them in the comments section below. Feel free to hit me up on Instagram and I will definitely help you guys out if you need it. But basically all you need to do is turn it on, select open loop, select the wiring to where you wired it to, get your solenoid frequency correct. You can usually Google that and see what it's going to be. And then from there, you'll jump over to this DC reference table to where you'll just have to have some trial and error to see you know, which numbers are going to get what boost. Again, start at 10 and go up slowly from there. You know, 10, see what that does. maybe then go to 12. You don't need to make large swings at this because you'll end up making too much boost, and you don't want to have that happen, obviously. So yeah, you can just start small and then just work your way up. For instance, on my IS300, I make 11 and a half, 12 pounds of boost, and the biggest number I have in here is 27. So that's just, obviously that's just for my car and my setup, but just so you know, like if you set this thing at 60, you're going to make too much boost, so don't do that. But yeah, all you need to do is this table, the parameters, and like I said, if you have the safety of overboost turned on, you need to also take into account this boost target table. You need to make sure that that correlates with the boost you're trying to make, so that way you don't run into a safety accidentally. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you on the next one.